Shannon, how we doing?
Good. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you on, and you are in Hawaii right now, which is so cool.
Yes, I'm living not too bad of a quarantine life for
I know.
sure. It's been
I
pretty
know.
nice.
Yeah, especially because you are just launching or like rolling out your new web series, Not From Around Here. How has
Yes,
that been going so far?
it's good. It's really nerve-wracking. I was really stressed leading up to the launch. So we just launched last Tuesday. So that's the 15th of December. And then we're launching two more tomorrow and then three more the next week. And so I bet it's been nice. I've been getting a lot of really good feedback. Um, I'm like not as concerned with the views. Like I almost like have barely even been checking that. I more just want to know what people think of it. Because it's you just need like one right person, that's gonna maybe open up the doors to another opportunity. So
100%.
yeah, so
I
I'm
I
not
I love that perspective, and I've been seeing too that, that your feedback has been incredible so far.
yeah, we've been it's really good. And the best is when friends of friends are saying stuff, or it's like my friends tell me like, "Oh my God, I shared this with five of my friends and they all love it." And I kind of feel like that's as much as I want people to share online, which is obviously great. I think it's better when you're like personally sharing it with some people that are really into it because for those of you that don't know, which is probably everyone, it's like a sci-fi comedy. So, and even if you don't like sci-fi, you don't need to like sci-fi to like this.
Yes, I can completely attest to that, like, for me personally. So, actually, I'm gonna roll us back, take a step back a little bit, and just say I'm gonna talk about it in the intro too, but, Not From Around Here is a web series that you wrote, you produced, you acted in. So, what is Not From Around Here about?
So, it's basically an alternate universe that takes place present day, but it's if there was life on all of the planets in our solar system and we all just could visit each other, like technology was good enough that you could just buy a ticket to Jupiter and go to Jupiter. And the solar system kind of functions as how our Earth does. Like the planets are different countries,
Mhm.
if you
Yeah.
will, that some of them have like alliances and unions, and like there's like a war with Mars is like has a war with everyone. It's kind of like North Korea where no one can go in or leave. And so that's kind of the macro world that's happening. But what you see in the series is just three roommates, female roommates, um, that are just hanging out, doing drugs, eating tacos,
Yeah.
like it's very kind of like Broad City New Girl, kind of like workaholics kind of vibe.
Yes, the writing is like that is such a good comparison. The writing is so witty and, like, quick and, like, kind of like what you were saying earlier, like, when you originally said told me about how it was like a sci-fi series, I was like, "Oh," like,
Yeah.
I've never watched Star Wars, like, I didn't do Star Trek or anything like that, so I
Hmm.
was like, I don't really know what to expect, but it is freaking hilarious, and, like,
Thank
you
you.
don't need to be into that stuff to appreciate the humor.
Yeah,
I also
I
kinda got,
agree.
kind of a vibe of I Think You Should Leave. Have you seen that? Oh
No.
my god, it's sketch comedy. I will send it to you.
Oh, okay, I
It
have
is
heard of it.
hilarious.
Hmm.
So, how did you originally get the idea to create this series?
So I was up in Big Sur camping for one of my best friend's birthdays, and we decided to partake in a little psychedelic drugs,
Mhm.
so a little bit of shrooms. And I just remember it was nighttime, just looking up at the sky and thinking like, "Oh my God, it would be so cool if like we could see the planets, like how we see the sun and we see the moon." And I mean, obviously, well, tonight that whole Saturn Jupiter thing is happening with the
Yeah.
star. I'm really excited
Mhm.
for that. um, they're finally meeting for the first time in like 800 years. Um, but I was just like, it would be really cool if we could see them all. And I was like, well, what if there was life on all of them and we all could hang out? Like all the aliens were just friends. And
Yeah.
then I was like, that's kind of a good idea for a series. Cause I feel like a lot of times with sci-fi, there it's like always war or there's like fighting and everything. And obviously I didn't have the budget to do it up in space, but most sci-fi things are up in space. But I was like, "Oh, it would be cool to have it where aliens are like friends with each other." I mean, you kind of have like Third Rock from the Sun and like Mork and Mindy, and but in those scenarios, they're hiding that they're aliens from humans. But with
Mm.
this, it's just that aliens are just our friends, and
And
we
it
just are act like we treat them just as we would other humans, you know?
Yeah, it was just so normal, and I found it to be such a wonderful environment for, commentary. Like, you have like, people are spacist and say things that are,
Mm.
like, insensitive. Like, it was just, like, such a such an awesome, like, setting for that type of commentary.
Totally, and it without addressing it directly, you know, it's like basically
Yeah.
a metaphor for I mean, it's kind of the perfect time to be releasing this, you know, in this time in 2020, what's happening with like, you know, the civil rights movement, that's the
Yeah.
modern civil rights movement that's happening. It kind of was a perfect um time to release it because it comments on it subtly, but just enough, I think.
Yeah, and there are so many, like, jokes that are just hilarious, like, one that I still repeat, like, to, like, my boyfriend Ben is like the, "Woo, Zumba is hard, check out this move," and you just do, like, a little, like, sidestep thing,
Oh,
and I was like,
yeah.
"That is so true," like, it's just, just, like, such witty humor, like, the New Girl vibe, like,
Thank you
loved it.
so much. I really appreciate it. I love hearing the feedback, and it's nice that other people are picking up on some of the subtleties that myself and my collaborator Kenneth Rosendo, he came up with the stories with me, and he's my producer too. So that we put a lot of time into. So it's really nice hearing feedback that people are picking up on that stuff.
Ah, it's so good. I crushed it in a day, and I, like, so rarely binge watch things. It was just like
Really?
yeah, it was so, so good.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
of course.
Yeah,
So
we're putting it out in chunks of 3, as I mentioned before. So I'm trying to cater to the binge watchers, but then also the people that like weekly. So sort of doing it week by week.
yeah,
And then they're out all out on Vimeo right now, but I think we're gonna put them all out on YouTube like at once too, to have
cool.
everyone binge it like that. Because it seems people are wanting it on YouTube. I did not realize that was such a big, big thing, but I need to put it out on that too.
Yeah, I love it. So by the time that this episode goes live, everything will be live and
Oh,
accessible to
awesome.
everyone, so
Yeah, perfect
cool.
for the bingers out there. And oh,
Yes.
it's 8 episodes, and they all run about like 10-ish minutes. So it's about like an hour and 15 altogether.
Yeah, yeah, I loved the quick pace of it all.
Thank you.
So you filmed this about 2 years ago, um,
Mm.
and then can you tell me a little bit about, like, the the impetus to actually filming it? Like, can you touch on, like, your grandma a bit?
Oh, yeah. So well, I moved out to LA after college, and I was, you know, acting and doing improv and, you know, kind of being mediocre at a lot of
Mm.
different things. And I wanted to more focus in on one thing and, and, you know, really put all my energy into one thing.
Mhm.
And so my grandma was like my number one fan, like literally loved everything I did, came to all my plays when I was younger, and just like any sketches that I ever filmed or like mini web series. She actually so she passed away in 2018. And when we were looking through her stuff, I found in her wallet a tiny little scrap piece of paper of the name of my old web series so that she could always remember it and tell her friends about it.
Oh my god.
So
That is
cute.
the cutest.
Yeah, adorable. So she was all, and she would be like to anyone like, now, do you have the YouTube? It's like,
Oh.
yes, everyone has the YouTube, Graham. You don't need to have it. And so, yeah, so she would be like, well, type this in and watch my granddaughter's web series.
Oh my
So
god.
she unexpectedly died in the beginning of 2018. And so I got a little bit of inheritance from her and my grandfather. He passed away about a month later. And so I was already writing the web series and sort of trying to figure out funding and all of that. And then I was like, I really think that this is what she would want me to spend my money on, or her money on. And so, yeah, and then in May, that was January, and then in May we shot it in two parts. We shot it in May and then in August too. So I got a lot of, like, some of her jewelry and some of her clothes and stuff, and they're kind of trickled in the web series. I'm like wearing her necklace, and for those of you that are going to watch it, in episode 3, like the bikini shirts, we like have bikini body shirts on. She used to always wear those. And so, yeah, we just did little nuggets. So I put her like in the special thanks, her and my grandpa. So I have them to thank for just their support throughout the years. And then obviously I was able to do this because of them.
Yeah. And it's been, like, quite a bit of a success. Do you mind telling me about, like, the film festivals and the awards that you've won?
Yeah, so we've gotten into, I think it's 7 or 8 festivals now, and we won Best Web Series at the Austin Comedy Film Festival, and then we won, we won Best Web Series Episode,
Mm.
because they just only accept one episode at that festival, and so we won that one, and that was
Wait,
episode 3,
okay.
which is the drug trip one,
Nice.
and then we won Best Hair and Makeup at Indie Short Fest in LA. And we were also nominated for Best Web Series, Best Web and New Media, and then Best First Time Director.
Wow.
So
You guys crushed it.
thanks. Yeah, I'm
E
really excited. It's been interesting doing the whole festival. This is my first time doing the festival circuit during COVID, because it's all um, online
Yeah,
essentially. Two of them were in drive-in theaters, though. I'm going to one in April that I believe will be a drive-in, which is really cool.
that'll be awesome. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been hearing a lot of places I've been doing drive-ins, and I was like, "What a great way to do that."
I love that. They need to bring drive-ins back. Drive-ins,
Seriously,
why did they get rid of those? They're the
they're
best.
wicked fun. I know.
So fun. I remember as a kid always going to them and like watching all the Disney movies, and I'm like, why would you ever get rid of that? It's the best idea ever.
I completely
So
agree.
I think they're bringing those back for
Yeah,
sure.
bring it back.
Bring them
Cool.
back.
I want to kinda touch in like, go back in time a bit and kinda chat about your backstory because, like, you're here now, but, like, I wanna know, like, how you got here. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, your childhood and, like, where you grew up and kind of, like, your path?
Yeah, of course. So I have an older sister who's 2 years older than me, and my parents would always joke that I've been directing since I was a little girl, because I would always be telling my sister and my friends like what to say when we were playing Barbies or dolls or house.
Yeah.
And I would go, 10 she said, like pretend she said, and then give them a line. And then if they didn't say the line exactly how I wanted it, I'd be like, that's not how I said you should say it.
I love it.
So luckily I'm like much nicer and more diplomatic about my directing now. But um so then when I was around like 12, I enrolled in acting classes in Philadelphia, because I'm from New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And then there was the Southern New Jersey Academy of the Performing Arts, which was like a high school. It was actually at a tech school, but they had a performing arts wing.
Yeah.
So I went there for drama, and it was just, I was just always interested in acting, really.
I
That
is
was my
that
first love, my first, like, that's my first choice above all the other things.
Okay. And was that the reason why you even started lessons when you were 12? Is it because you wanted to be an actress?
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
it was in high school, I think I only did like film acting one time, but most of it was theater.
Mhm.
So I was trained in the theater, and then when I went to college, I went to Arizona State for film. And then, people would ask me to, or I'd audition, or they'd ask me to be in their short films. So then I got a little more familiar with the camera. But I was also doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And I also think I didn't really want to admit to myself that I actually wanted to be an actor, like,
Mm.
because it felt so impossible. Like, it's such a hard industry. And so I
Yeah.
was like, well, I like all these other parts of it, like writing and directing and producing. Like, why don't I try doing that? And I didn't want to admit to myself that that was like my real actual dream.
Okay. Yeah.
So then when I moved to LA, I worked at ICM Partners, which is a talent agency.
Mhm.
And I never wanted to be an agent, but on like every resume, it would say must have like 1 year agency experience. So you
For,
kind of have to
like,
like,
everything?
not acting, but like production side.
Okay.
Like anytime I was like interviewing to be like a writer's assistant on a TV show, it normally would say 1 year agency. It's like paying your dues.
Okay.
So I went that route. And then after a year of being there, I was like, what am I doing? And because I was working with other actors at the agency that my agents repped, I'd be like, I can do this. I can do that. It didn't seem like that far off of a dream because I was
Yeah.
literally seeing it,
Mm.
seeing their self tapes, seeing them booking jobs. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Why not?
Yeah.
So I quit the agency and I started improv at the Groundlings and Upright Citizens Brigade, which are two improv and sketch comedy theaters in Los Angeles. Upright Citizen Brigade was Amy Poehler's theater.
Cool.
And then the Groundlings, like Melissa McCarthy and like Lisa Kudrow and Kristen Wiig, came from that. But
Okay.
like
Big
almost
deals.
every comedy person has like come from one of those two, or Second City is another one. I haven't taken any classes there.
So
But yeah, so I started doing that.
did you have to audition to get into those?
With Groundlings you do, at UCB you don't.
Okay, cool.
And then I also interned at UCB too. So when if you interned, you would just like work the concession stand and the box office, and you could get free classes,
Cool.
which was awesome. And because they're expensive, they can
Yeah.
be really expensive. I mean,
Mm,
acting is such an expensive game. Like you have to pay
interesting.
for casting websites, headshots, getting your reel edited. I mean, luckily I know how to edit, so I don't have to pay
Good.
for that. But like you have to pay to put your headshots up on the casting websites. So not only do you have to
Wow.
pay for the casting websites, you have to pay to put them up. You have to pay when you're a member of SAG, which is the union. You have to pay dues for that every year. It's like the most expensive industry ever. And you like don't get paid unless you really book.
Yeah. Weird. I did not
Yeah.
know that.
Oh, yeah. That's why you have to love it and also it is not glamorous at all. Like when you're on set, you're waiting around forever and
Yeah.
like I mean, if you can get a trailer, you're
Yeah.
just sitting in your trailer. And I mean, I love it. So I love being on set, but for the
Yeah.
people who don't have a passion for it, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Like
Yeah.
there's so many better ways to make money, and I don't know. But I personally love it. So I'm fine with all of that,
Yeah.
but I hope it pays off one day.
I mean, yeah, like you're well on your way, like
I hope so.
really, really though.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I actually kind of want to touch on acting a little bit more. So you kind of like talked about like what it's like and stuff, but looking at your reel, it looks like do you mind telling me a little bit about like different gigs that you've booked in the past?
Yeah, of course. So my very first co-star. So there's extras, which are the people in the background, and you
Mhm.
don't audition for those roles. You just call up
Show up.
this specific casting site and they're like, sure, you're on.
Cool.
A co-star is like the next step up, which is the person who usually has like one line,
Mhm.
two lines, like below 5 lines is a
Okay.
co-star. A guest star is the is if you're kind of like a main part of the plot for like one episode.
Okay.
And then like it's sort of like, say on a TV show like Law and Order, you're the one whose like sister got killed.
Okay, got
You
it.
know what I mean?
Got
Like
it.
you have a lot of lines, you're like moving the story along, but you're and then a co-star like I was talking about earlier is like the hostess that's taking you to the table.
Okay, yep. That makes
And then a
sense.
recurring is when you're on several episodes, and then when you're a regular, that means you're the lead, or you're one of the leads of the show, or one of the
Okay.
supporting. So,
Interesting.
so far in the television world, or yeah, I've only been on television, not movies. I've only gotten co-stars, so that's
Mhm.
like 5 lines or less.
Okay.
So my very first one was Animal Kingdom on TNT,
Mhm.
and it actually had no lines, but you're like featured more heavily. And the role was that I had to be like naked from behind and with my butt.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh my God, do I do it? Is it
Yeah.
like I, talk to my parents, like, what do you think? And talk to my acting coach. And basically the consensus was if it's a professional set,
Yeah.
it's more respected. It's not like you're doing like a student film or something. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's just my butt. But then it was like simulated sex. So then I
Oh,
was like, well, shit, I don't know if like the guy's gonna have me like in doggy style or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So I like asked him, like, well, what position are we in? And they're like, well, that's the director's choice. We can't tell you. I'm like, so I'm just signing on for something I literally don't know anything about.
Oh my god.
And like in this, when you're starting out, you kind of get pressured into doing stuff you're like not super comfortable with,
Yeah.
especially women. Like, I'm not even exaggerating when I say like almost every one of my auditions that I get in is like partial nudity required, simulated sex required. And I'm just like,
Like, what?
why? Like, why? It's not,
Yeah.
and I understand if it's like a lead, a main character, and the reason for the nudity is driving the plot forward, or but a lot of
Yeah.
times it's just for the male gaze, and that's what
Hmm.
kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in the Animal Kingdom one, it actually ended up working out. Like, I was just laying next to the guy, and it was like supposed to be after we had sex. I was like, oh
Okay.
thank God,
Ugh.
because I didn't know what
Yeah.
position I'm gonna be in. My freaking grandparents are gonna be watching.
So, like, I would have, like, brought, like, a friend with me to set. I'd be, like, so scared. Like, how did
Mm.
you like, what was were you, like, nervous going on to set for that?
No, because I knew it was a professional set, and
Okay.
I've been on professional sets before, either working like as a PA, a production assistant,
Yeah.
or an extra. And so I really didn't feel uncomfortable in that way. And they were very respectful. Like, I had pasties on, and they gave me a robe like instantly as I took it out. Like, it
Good.
wasn't sketchy or
Okay.
shady at all.
So you weren't nervous going on to it. You were just it was just the, like, decision of, "Do I do this or do I not?" That was
Hmm.
okay. Okay.
And it sometimes goes back and forth. If like there was another one, I was on Veronica Mars, which is on Hulu. It was a reboot of it last year, and I was playing a stripper. And at
Mm.
first they said that I was just gonna have on pasties, and I was like, okay. And then it changed to, well, no, it might be full breast. And I'm like, wow, I'm really like, my gut is telling me I'm not comfortable with that. But I'm like wanting to build my resume. And
Yeah.
so you kind of like, I've had a former agent be like, well, you're just not big enough to say no to things, like say
Oh,
no to projects. Like, your
damn.
resume is just not big enough, or,
Yeah.
full enough.
Yeah.
Luckily, shout out to Ken Marino, who's an actor on Veronica Mars. He asked the production that I have on more clothes. So I had on like little shorts and like a bra and like a little feather kind of
Yeah.
little jacket.
Yeah.
Just like, thank you.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, that meant so much to me that he did that.
And it wouldn't have really mattered in the plot. I saw that in your reel. And it's
Yeah.
like whether you have boobs out or not, like, did
No, not
not
at
change
all.
the story.
No, I was in a strip club. I was clearly a stripper.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be naked for you to get the point that I was a stripper, you know?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I'm like a little bit more modest anyway,
Mm.
naturally. Like
Yeah.
growing up, like my mom and my sister are like naked all the time. They don't care. My dad and I are just a little bit more like conservative in that way. So it does definitely, I definitely have to get out of my comfort zone. But I always remember I'm playing a part. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, this isn't like I'm like doing porn or whatever and I'm
Yeah.
being Shannon. I'm being in, I'm acting.
Yep.
And but I always joke that I'm slowly getting a little bit more clothes on as my roles go. I've done
Good.
like 5 or 6 and slowly but surely, and like I'm just praying for a full outfit next time
Yeah.
because it's been like naked, bikini, tiny little outfit, stripper outfit, and then next time I'm like, okay, full clothes, full clothes. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my god. Is this like a typical, like, getting into the business kind of route?
As far as going the acting route
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, some people just hit it like big on their first audition and it's all about like luck and timing.
Yeah.
Um, for my experience with my friends, I mean, I've had some acquaintances that are on Jimmy Fallon or like on SNL and so it just depends on well, A, your talent.
Yeah.
And so honestly, there's no recipe for it. And
Yeah.
that's actually the kind of nice thing about the industry, but at the same time, it's also the shitty part about it because there is no recipe. It's not like you get your master's, you graduate, you intern, you then get a job, and then
Yeah.
there's no route, and uh, you just have to learn as you go.
Yeah.
But I think as far as like my other friends that are at the same level of me with acting, a lot of people are beginning to make their own stuff, putting themselves in things and roles that they want to be in.
Yeah.
Because my character Eve and Not From Around Here is definitely more goofy and um, has full clothes on
Yep.
and is just like funny. And I want to be in comedy.
Totally.
So that's where I'm trying to, I guess, like rebrand myself as that and not as just the hot girl that's got a, thong on. And so
Yeah. Yeah. I did notice that when I was watching Not From Around Here. I was like, "Huh." Like, when I was watching your reel, I was like, "You get cast as the hot girl a lot, but you didn't choose that for yourself in your own role." So, like, I was super interested in that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's like some, vulnerability shit, you know?
yeah, it's definitely really annoying. And some people are more okay with it and then some people aren't okay with it at all.
Yeah.
So I kind of waver in the middle where I'm like, I know I have to just build my resume and then hopefully I'll get the right role that's right for me at the right time.
Totally. Totally. I kinda wanna switch gears to talk about, sketch comedy. You're
Sure.
also a part of sketch comedy, and I believe the group you're a part of is called Not Too Polished.
Yes.
Do you mind telling me about that?
Sure. So they are a group that's from Chicago. I met them through mutual friends and they they started a backyard show in Los Angeles. And so it's a variety open mic. So there's poetry, stand up, sketch comedy, dance. People bring their guitar, their piano, and do music. It's just a really nice mix. So you're not just like, it's a 2-hour show, and sometimes that can drag on if you're just watching stand up for 2 hours, but because it's a nice mix of different things every time, like, I swear 1 minute you're, like, laughing and the next minute you're crying from someone's, like, beautiful slam poetry,
Wow.
and it's so fun. It's like we usually do it the 3rd, well, obviously COVID,
Yeah.
we're not doing it, but it's usually the 3rd Friday of every month, and, we take donations, and then we donate each month to a different charity of our choice.
That's so
And
cool.
then we have like a bar and people are passing around blunts and
Yeah.
it's really fun. It's basically a party, and it's such an open, welcoming space. And some people are just trying out stand up for the first time. Like, I always recommend people who are wanting to try something new to come to our mic, because um excuse me. I was taking singing lessons and piano lessons, and like one of my goal for this year is not going to happen because of COVID, was to like sing and do piano, even though that's not my career goal or anything, but just to do something like that fun at the mic.
Yeah.
So if anyone, once we're back up and running, anyone in LA area, come to the mic. It's really fun.
That sounds so fun. I, like, definitely, once the world is back together, I will definitely be making a trip down to LA, and I would love to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
you
come.
have to.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks so
Jasmine's
cool.
been a few times.
Yeah, yeah, we have.
Jasmine's our mutual friend.
Yes, how we connected.
And
Um,
she's the lead of my web series.
I know, which is super cool, and I actually kinda wanna dig back into Not From Around Here a bit. So,
Mhm.
in this one, you acted, you directed, you wrote it, you produced it,
Yes,
that
edited it.
you edited it, like, that is crazy. Like, were you nervous to take this project on?
I went in blindly, which is kind of a good thing because I definitely bit off more than I could chew
Okay.
with how many episodes I made. Like, looking back, I wish it would have been more ideal just to do like one short or 3 episodes, or just make it a little bit longer, like one. I'm really happy that I have all of these episodes. It's amazing,
Mhm.
but it was a really huge undertaking and it took way longer than expected. I was thinking I would edit it in like 6 months. It took like literally 2 years because I had an
Jeez.
editor on board in the beginning, and he helped me with the bones of everything and helped me get it organized, which I'm really bad with technology, so that was a big help.
Yeah.
But then it just got to the point where I didn't have enough money to be paying him his rate. So I just watched him edit, and I would be sitting next to him, and I just learned how to edit on Premiere. So I just got Premiere and I did it myself. And there's just so many more moving parts than you even know about. Like the music, and we have like a 30-second animated opening that I got a
Yeah.
cartoonist to do, and then my animator friend from college put it together. Like, there's just like a lot of little stuff that you don't even realize, especially when you have a scene like the drug trip scene in episode 3. Like, doing that montage took forever. And
I imagine there are, like, puppets in it, like, there like, you
mm,
make Cheez-Its talk, like, it was there's a
yeah,
lot of stuff. I was actually wondering about, like, the opening graphics, like, the graphics are amazing, and it
aren't
kind of
they?
reminded me of, like, when you watch, like, old claymation movies and how, like, it must be,
Mhm.
like, shot by shot, and then they kinda move it a little bit. I was, like, watching it, thinking about you, and I was like, "Oh my god, that must have taken, like, at least, like, 6 months right there," was, like, the
Well,
opening.
luckily, I didn't do that part.
Yeah.
Like, I have no talent with animation at all, but I found a cartoonist on just a Facebook group. I joined, like, a cartoonists Facebook group,
Yeah.
and I made a post, and then a bunch of people emailed me, and then I liked his portfolio best. His name is Tyler Waite, Tyler the cartoonist on Instagram.
Nice.
He's amazing. I actually haven't even spoken to him on the phone. Like, we literally just talked through Facebook Messenger, and I would give him my notes and he'd come back, and we did however many rounds. And I kind of told him to do like Hanna-Barbera, which is like Flintstones and
Nice.
Yogi Bear, trying to
Yeah.
tell him to do it kind of in that, because I wanted to do like a 60s sort of retro vibe, kind of I Dream of Jeannie slash the Jetsons slash
Yeah.
Bewitched kind of vibe in the beginning. And so then he did the cartoons, which is what I use on the poster and for all the promotions on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And then my friend Mark Olson from Arizona State, he was an animator there. I learned how to do animation and he did the opening for me. And
Uh,
then once again, I went, like, I was always giving them notes and doing several rounds of versions of it until we finally got to the end point. And oh my God, they did such a good job. Blew me out of the water. I was so blown away by
it
the amount of
really
talent that I got on this thing. I'm so impressed.
it really did come out so well. Um,
Thanks.
and so, like, post-production obviously, like, took a long time, you learned a ton, but I'm also
Mhm.
interested in hearing, like, the first day on set. So, like, you're walking in, like, you are the director, you are the writer, you are the producer, and, like, everyone's kind of, like, looking at you as the
Mhm.
leader, like, what was the first day on set like?
It was a little bit chaotic. I was definitely nervous. I'm just inherently a very nervous person.
Same.
And oh my gosh, it's like debilitating.
Yep.
But I knew, like as you said, like I was the leader of the pack, and I knew like whatever mood I was in would trickle down to everyone else. So I was like, okay, like I gave myself a pep talk, like you got to put on a brave face, even though inside you're freaking out. Like you need to set the tone for the whole
Yeah.
day and be in a good mood and like be happy everyone's there, because I mean everyone was doing it at like a way less rate than they normally would be doing anything at. So I
Yeah.
knew, and some of them not even getting paid at all, like some of my close friends. And I wanted them to know I really appreciated their time and their talent and their hard work. And um so we actually were running a bit late because June, the one in the space helmet,
Yeah.
the actress Missy, she was at on a work somewhere out of town for work. And so her flight got delayed. And
Of
so she was
course.
supposed to be there early in the morning, and then her flight got delayed like 2 hours. And so luckily we were able to get some shots in beforehand, but she was running late. So I was a little bit freaking out about that. Her helmet broke the first shot. So I was
Wow.
freaking out over
The
that
first
because
shot, did
yes,
you guys have to remake it?
luckily my producer Ken came in with like black gaff tape, which is what they use to, hang things. And it's really strong tape. It's like
Mhm.
hardcore duct tape.
Okay.
And he came in and luckily like the glass part didn't break, but he was able to put the helmet on, thank God, because I was really worried I was going to have to completely rewrite the whole character if the
Oh,
helmet broke. I because she's a ball of gas.
yeah.
I thought I would have to make her into like a regular alien. Luckily, I didn't have to do that, but it was very stressful, but it was so fun. I mean, production, some those days were like some of the best days of my life. I just felt so in my element, and I loved collaborating with friends and new people that I had never met before. A lot of my Arizona State friends were involved in it because they were in film school too. And then I basically casted all my friends. I wrote a few parts for my friends. And so that
Like,
was
which ones?
so my producer that I was telling you about, Ken,
Yeah.
that's Bruce, the Martian, the
Yep,
red guy,
and he's the landlord.
the landlord. Yeah,
Yep.
the nosy landlord
Yep.
with no self
No ba Yeah,
awareness,
and no boundaries at
no
all.
boundaries. You see him in episode 2, and so then Kenzie, who is Haley. My
Mm,
friend Kenzie is Haley, who's in episode 7. She's the flighty friend that comes around once every 75 years. If anyone knows that reference, Haley's Comet. And then Horace, Valentino, which is the blue guy who you see him first in episode 3,
yeah.
the drug trip. He is my
Yep.
really good friend, Horace. Gold, which is he's also a musician, and we just added this in. Actually, you didn't see this, but he wrote a song for the very last episode credits.
Nice.
So I just added that in. So that'll be out, well, next week. You know, it'll be out now.
Yeah.
So it like, and he just helped me out with that. Like so many people just volunteered their time for it, or and did it, as I was saying, at like a way less rate because, well, A, they're my friend, but B, they also really believed in the project, which was so flattering. And I'm still blown away at how much hard work and talent went into it when they didn't really have to do that for me, or
Yeah.
it was a really, really awesome experience.
Oh, I love that. It's amazing. It's amazing what wonderful things can come from, like, asking friends for help. It
And
really is.
I have a really hard time asking for help. Like I've always had a hard time with that.
What is
And
up with that?
oh
I
my gosh.
I do too. I don't get it because, like, in the reciprocal, if someone asked me for help, I'd be like, "Of course," but it takes so much to ask for help. I completely
Oh yeah,
understand.
so much. And because I don't ever want to inconvenience anyone. That's like my
Yeah.
main thing. So I go out of my way, or I sometimes get put in situations that I don't want to be in because I'm like, I'm just so nervous to ask for help or don't want to make someone else's life harder. But yeah, you just kind of have to make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
And even like asking my friends to share the project, or that's really vulnerable. Or even like I posted online being like, does anyone have a podcast that I could go on to help promote it,
Yeah.
or write for some kind of like have an article written about it. And I wrote in the post like, I feel really vulnerable asking this, but I mean, this would never be happening if I didn't do that. So you just kind of have to put yourself out there.
Yeah. And such beautiful things come from it, like, every time, like, pretty much every time. Like, that's so cool. I
Absolutely.
love that. That's, like, brave. That's, like, brave stuff right there.
Yeah, I've definitely had to get really out of my comfort zone with this project, but also just in general working in the entertainment industry. And it's really difficult, but you have to get out of your comfort zone like on a daily.
Which is powerful and all a part of, like, growing as a human being.
Totally.
I
Yes.
I'm curious about makeup. So you guys won an award for, like, makeup and, like, costumes. Um,
hmm
like, who did the makeup, like, and the costumes? They were fantastic.
Yeah, it was two ladies named Olya and Olga.
Love
They're both
it.
Russian. And they came up with the concepts. I kind of gave them like a little bit of like an idea, like a PowerPoint of like which characters, like what their kind of vibe, and then they've worked together, and then they came up with the ideas, and we would kind of go over like what prosthetics might look good on each one and what colors and things like that. And I wanted Mallory to be like kind of a burnt color, and her hair be like a little bit like a burnt vibe
Yeah,
because she's from Mercury, so she's close to the sun.
yeah,
So I was trying to do, oh, and then the guy from Neptune is Neptune's like the furthest from the sun besides
yeah,
Pluto, so he's super pale.
yep,
So I was kind of trying to incorporate things about the planets to sort of inspire how the makeup is.
yeah.
But I mean, they came up with pretty much the entire look of everybody, and they did such an amazing job. And then we also had another woman named Megan. She came on for I think like 2 days, and she helped out because it was a lot of work. Like they had to be in the makeup chair for 3 hours beforehand. So they
Wow.
definitely needed extra hands, and they were all super talented, and I was really lucky. It was like a mutual friend's girlfriend,
Love it.
Olia was. So yeah, it's all about just like trying to make connections, who and using like how I used bunch of my ASU friends for the crew, you know, you just kind of have to think of who you know
Yeah, and ask, and
and
ask.
ask.
Yeah.
Definitely put
So
yourself out there.
yeah, so throughout this process, it was, 2 years ago you filmed it, like, took 2 years to, like, edit it and get it all together and launch it. How did you
Mhm.
handle doubt throughout this? Did you have periods of doubt where you're like, "Shit, like, I can't do this," or like, "Nope,
Mhm.
not gonna happen," like, tell me
Well,
a little bit
first,
about it. Yeah.
yeah, first of all, it felt like it was never going to be finished. Like,
Yeah.
because from start to finish, when I wrote it, started writing it, it's been 3 years. And I was like, "Oh my god, like, I don't think I'll ever see the day that this thing will get done."
Yeah.
And there was times, and there still are times that I hate it. That I
Interesting.
watch it and I absolutely hate it. Like, not
Oh my
every episode, but, like, I'll cringe at it. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm in it. It's always worse when you're watching yourself. Like, I'm sure you
Yeah.
listen to this podcast back and you're, like, cringing at your voice.
Sometimes, yep.
Yeah. And so that's how it is when you're watching yourself, or, like, I'm so self-conscious about, like, how my skin looks or my hair. Like, I kinda get caught up on that instead of, like, looking at the bigger picture, or that, you know, this wasn't framed right, or, like, the shot wasn't framed right, or, you know, that joke didn't land as hard as I wanted it to. But I'm, of course, my own worst critic.
Yeah.
But it's just creative insecurity, you know? And, um, I just sort of had to just keep going, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, like, it really helped also showing it to people, because I've showed it to a few, like, close friends throughout the process, and who I trusted and trusted their opinion. Did this work? What did this joke land? Is this noticeable that she's not wearing the same shirt in this,
Yeah.
you know? And so it helped showing it to people, because then they would just encourage that, no, it is good. No,
Yeah.
I think it is funny. Or this could be improved. Are you looking for notes, or do you just, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I honestly still have doubt. Like, every other day, I'm like almost embarrassed about it sometimes. It's the weirdest thing.
Because it's out there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also because it is a little bit, like, on the raunchy side, and, like, kind of, like, got some inappropriate humor in it. Like, my boyfriend's parents have been, like, asking me to watch it, and I'm, like, putting it off so much,
Oh,
because
you
I'm
wanna
just,
watch it together?
well, yeah, I was just staying at their house for, like, a month, and they were like, "Can we have a screening with, like, the whole family?" I'm like, "I would really rather die, honestly."
Oh my
It's just
god.
it's to me, that sounds like the most embarrassing thing ever. Because
It's
there's, like, a diarrhea scene, and, like,
yeah.
I'm licking eggplant, like, phallic shaped eggplants and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's times that I am embarrassed in that way, because it is vulnerable. And even though you should try and separate yourself from, like, your creative endeavors, and I hear that all the time, it's still really hard, because when you make art, it's very much a piece of you that you're giving to it. And I think
Yeah.
that's how painters feel, and, I'm sure artists feel that 10 times more, because they give their whole, like, I don't know, feelings and
Yeah.
into their work. But, filmmaking can be very much that way as well. But it's hard to separate, you know, if people don't like it, from taking it personally. Even
Absolutely.
though I know not everyone's going to like this. Comedy's very specific. It's like
Yeah.
taste buds. Not everyone's going to like it, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But I don't wanna know if you didn't like it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So
But
do
it's a part of the game.
you have any, like, like, anything that you do to kinda, like, bring yourself back or, like, do you just, like, breathe through, like, the shitty feelings?
Yeah, I like to talk it out with people, like
Yeah.
my close friends and my boyfriend and my parents, and I always kinda need a little bit of a pep talk or even just bring me down to earth because it ebbs and flows like
Mhm.
a wave of thinking it's the best thing ever to hating it. And I
Mhm.
feel like that happens with a lot of people's creative endeavors, and you wanna try and get it a little bit more like this
Yeah.
or like that, like well,
More
sorry, you can't.
steady. More
Yeah, more
steady.
steady, not so much like even like a little wave, not a huge wave to like thinking it's the greatest thing ever because it's not the greatest thing ever, but it's
Yeah.
not the worst thing ever either. So I need to kind of let I try to keep like a level head about it, but it's difficult. But for me, I personally lean on my close friends and family to sort of either give me a pep talk or bring me back down to
Yeah,
earth.
calibrate you. Yeah. Oh,
Totally.
I love that. So, you have your hands in kind of everything, like, with, like, acting, directing, writing, producing, like, comedy. Like, I highly recommend folks who are listening or watching to check out Shannon's reel. We'll chat about how to find you, but,
Mhm.
because you're in everything, you like, it's
Mhm,
hilarious.
thanks.
So what is, like tell me about your dream. Like, what is, like, dreaming big, like, you can't fail, like,
Mhm.
what is your dream?
I would love if I could like really give my complete ideal how I would want my career to go. I think it would be amazing to be on a hit comedy sitcom. Sorry, I'm gonna block the sun a bit.
No, you're good.
Okay, there we
Got
go.
it.
Okay. A hit comedy that runs for, I don't know, 7, 8 seasons.
Yeah.
And then I want to create my own show, like produce it, be the showrunner that I'm also in. I definitely want to do that at some point. I mean, it would be amazing if it was the first thing I did, but I know that's a lot of work and that's a lot of stress to have like as your first thing be that you're the whole runner of the show and the producer and everything. So I have this one project that is like my ideal project that I actually shot it. It's called The Lot. Was I telling you about it?
I watched it.
The
Tell
trailer.
Share a little bit about The Lot.
So it's basically I grew up at the Jersey Shore every summer and we own a parking lot and like a bed and breakfast minus the breakfast. It's like not fancy. And my grandma ran the bed and breakfast and my mom ran the parking lot, managed it after my grandpa got dementia. And I grew up there like working on the lots, working at the water park, like being a waitress. And so I want to create a mockumentary of working like my family as the main characters and then like the parking lot attendants are like the supporting characters and it's like a mockumentary kind of like The Office and my mom's character would kind of be the main character and like my grandma and like ideally I would love to when I'm like in my 40s like play my mom,
Oh,
you
I
know.
love it.
So that's why, like, I always say, I hope, like, in the next 10 years, I could get on, like, a hit show, and then, like, after that, be able to, like, make this show.
Oh my god. It is so worth the watch for the trailer. It is hilarious. Like, it
Oh my
is,
god,
like,
thank you.
everything that you would want in, like, a Jersey Shore parking lot show. Honestly, there's,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
people are competitive, people are, like, pissed off, like, there's, like,
Yeah.
throwing beer cans, just, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, because the characters that, like, in real life that would park on the parking lot and stay at my grandma's hotel were just so kooky, like, from all walks of life, and people all the time would be like, "This needs to be a show. Like, this is nuts. The stuff that you guys experience, like, on the daily is just, like, a whole other level." So, I've been working on that, like, writing the script for that. And so that would be, like, if I had my choice of, like, creating a show. Of course, I would love Not From Around Here to get, like, picked up or have a second season. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But The Lot is, like, my baby. I really wanna make that
Oh,
because
cool.
it's so close to home, you know?
Yeah, and it is really, really good. Like, I was super
Mm.
intrigued by the trailer.
Yeah, so I shot that, 4 years ago with my family,
I know.
and I just wanted, because my grandparents were getting older, and this was 2 years before they passed, and I was like, "You know what? I just need to go out there and shoot something so I could, like, either make a trailer or, like, take some scenes and try and sell it, but I need to film my grandparents because I want people to understand them. Like, if it
Yeah.
were to turn into a show, I want the actress that's playing my grandma, like, "Here, watch this footage," and, like, I sat down and I interviewed them for a while, so I have a bunch of footage of my grandma because she's just, like, such a character, and yeah, she's a unique lady for sure, so I would
Yeah.
want the actress to get to know her that would be playing that character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never really quite did anything with that as far as submitting it to festivals or anything. I mean, it was my first real go around with shooting anything, and they're also my family. I mean, they did a great job, but they're not actors.
Yeah.
So yeah, using it as the trailer might be something
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Yeah. Shannon, how can we find you?
So my Instagram is look at me. I'm Shannon D. Dee, like Sandra Dee.
Mhm.
Some people don't get that. I'm like, "Really?" You must be the Gen Zers that aren't
I
getting
know.
that.
Moving
And
on.
exactly. And then, Not From Around Here, you can find it in my bio of my Instagram, but it's Not From Around Here, and the 0 and the O and around is a 0.
Mhm.
And so those are the best ways to get a hold of me, and the link for the web series is are in both of our my bios for that, and then you can go on the Instagram and you can see a bunch of clips and the trailers up there and bloopers and fun things like that.
Yeah, and your website, which has your reel, if folks wanna check you out, is hello Shannon D,
Yes. Mhm.
DEE.com, and Not From Around Here, the website is not from around here series.com, and
Yes,
then, the Instagram, so, look at me, I'm Shannon D, and Not From Around Here on Instagram, but the O is a 0.
exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes. Check it out. Shannon,
Mhm.
it's been so awesome chatting with you. I've learned
You
so
too.
much about acting, and I you are so you're so honest and so brave, and I'm like, I truly feel, like, so lucky to have interviewed you.
Wow, thank you. That's so nice. This was awesome. It feels good to get it all out there.
Yeah.
The stress that's been the past couple weeks. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yay, amazing.
I appreciate
Okay,
it.
talk to you later, Shannon.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.